Hi everyone, I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, Karen Duke from Spruce Grove, Alberta, and I'd like to share another technique with you today. This one is called the Sunburst Card. I learnt this from Lisa Curcio, another demonstrator from the States, and I loved it. You know, our new catalogs are arriving and our old DSP is going to be done, so I wanted to start using it up. So here's some samples I made using some of the designer series paper. You'll have lots of fun choosing your paper and every one of them will be different. So you need a piece of scrap paper, 2 3/4 by 5, and then you need 4 pieces of the DSP, and these need to be 1.5 by 4. And when I choose my DSP, I make sure that when I hold the front and the back together, that they look pleasing. Then what you're going to do is take your paper cutter, and I want to cut from corner to corner. So I want to line it up in the groove of where the blade is going to cut, and I'm going to cut. I'm going to do all 4 pieces exactly the same. You don't want to do one piece one way and one piece the other way. So when I'm done, I've got my 4 pieces like that. Then what I'm going to do, I drew a line down the middle. So being that this is 5 inches, 2.5 is my center point. And I'm going to go around the edges with my snail. And this just means that I don't have to put snail on the pieces that I'll be working on. I do an X in the middle, so I know that no matter where my paper is, it's going to be stuck down. So I'm going to start with my first piece of paper, and I'm going to start with this straight edge and the straight top, and I'm going to line up that straight edge and the top with the top of my paper. Then I'm going to go to the other half. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to line it up at the top and stick it down. Then I go back to my first pile. I want to flip it. And when I put this down, if I was just to line it up like so, I'm going to have a big gap at the top there. So I want to move this right up. I don't even want that little tiny bit of white showing. I want to move it right up to the top. Okay, then I'm going to go to this one, and exactly the same thing. I don't want any white showing at the top. I'm going to line that up. I'm going to go back to my first pile, and in this case, you can see I've got the 2 straight edges together. So when I stick that down, it's straight across the top and that straight edge is there. And if you notice, the wider part of all of these is at the top. So now I'm going to take this next piece, and again, the straight edge is at the top and the 2 straight edges are there. And then that last little bit is just filling in that tiny little corner, and I don't get too excited about that. And that's it. So you can see I've got the wider edges all at the top. I've alternated colors starting with the center there. Doesn't look like much, no though, does it? So what I'm going to do is turn it over, and using my white cardstock as a guide, I'm just going to trim it. I could use my paper cutter. There's no adhesive on these pieces, so I would have no problem using my paper cutter. But sometimes I just like cutting using that white cardstock as my guide. So I'm going to trim around the edges, like so. And we're done. Get rid of those little scraps. So you can see I've got a nice finished piece that looks like so. What I'm going to do now is mount it onto a larger piece of my Whisper White, also 5 inches across, and I'm leaving that so that I can stamp words at the bottom. What I like to do when I buy my designer series paper, when I start using it, and if you're not familiar, this is the Garden Lane designer series paper from the large catalog. And you can see that in our catalogs, it tells you what colors are used. And also when you get your DSP, on the packages, it also tells you the colors. So I know that when I pick out those coordinating colors of cardstock, I know it's going to match. So once I have that glued on, I will glue it onto my garden green, onto my mint macaron. Then one of the things I love the most about Stampin' Up! Is everything matches. So I've got my mint macaron ribbon. I will put some ribbon around there. And then I will mount it onto my white cardstock. And that will give me that. I'm using the words from the Positive Thought stamp set. I really like the words from that. I know that this set is carrying forward, so I know that I can make good use out of those words. Our designer series paper is awesome. Like I said, one of the things about Stampin' Up! That I love the most is that everything matches. So I know when I pick out designer paper, I know that it's going to match my cardstock. I'm going to be doing this card in my Coffee and a Card this month on a Thursday morning. I generally do Coffee and a Card one Thursday morning a month. This month I'm doing it on May 14th at 10 o'clock. If you'd like to join us and actually make a card along with me, send me your email. My email is kjduke@shaw.ca. I would love to send you a supply list and an invitation, and you can make the card along with us. And don't forget to check out all of the DSPs that'll be retiring. Our new catalog is starting in June, and I have to tell you, it's one of the best catalogs I've seen. But that being said, it makes me think I better start using up some of my old paper that I just happen to have a stash of. That's it for now. Thanks for joining me. Bye.